like, you can use moderators. It's like, oh, that's nice. I don't think we're at that level yet, at least in terms of engagement. But that's also hopefully going to change soon because it's funny. I was listening. I know Divine Maverick hasn't been doing quite as many videos on YouTube, but she posted up one, and it really caught me. Like here, it was about recognizing what gifts you've been putting on the back burner that you could like be bringing out and playing with about now, right? And one of the ones that my mind went to, like I sat for a day thinking about it. I'm like, I mean, there's some stuff, like I know some of it, but I feel like there's something that I know that I'm not thinking about. And one of the things that popped in when I thought about it from that lens was doing my videos, right? Which partly was intentional and partly was just we've been, we're still waiting on housing. Like even this morning, like a lot of the videos, I'm like, I don't want to do it because I don't know where my hairbrush is, and we're sleeping in the car again until we get our apartment. And I'm like, uh, but you know what? Today just felt like one of those days. Like, you know what? Beautiful as I am, even when my beard's growing in and my hair's not perfect, right? And then what was great is I was getting ready to do this video, and there's three things that came in. It was two songs, so there's song syncs I'll give you in a minute, and then another one was a truck, and it just had the letters SAS on it, and it reminded me of something, of an energy that I used to kind of embody when I was younger, it's part of what attracted my DM to me, right? And I loved being in this energy, and SAS reminded me of it. It's sweet and sassy, right? And then also, like, today is the new moon in Aries, which is the astrological new year, right? Because it goes by the lunar calendar. So we start over our zodiac wheel, so to speak, when the moon enters Aries for the first new moon of the year, right? Well, first new moon in Aries. Also, which is interesting because this doesn't happen often, today is the sun in Aries. So we've got two. We've got the sun and the moon in Aries. And I don't know about you, but that really seems very like very much a twin flamey sort of like alignment in there. The sun in the moon and the moon in the same sign on the same day. Right? In any case, that's good energy for like new chapters, like, I mean, it could be a total reset if you want it to be, or you could just set the intention of what kind of energy you want to experience over this next chapter, which definitely will come in for the next like 2 to 3 months, but it could affect the rest of your year. So like new moons are where you plant the seeds, full moons are where you release the seeds, or you harvest you planted that's grown, things like that. New moons are where you set your intention and till the soil and plant the seeds and do things like that, right? So that's the energy that we're in today. And when I noticed that yesterday, I was like, you know what? Anytime that I know it's going to be a new moon, I try to set my intentions because it's fun, and it really, I don't know, in my mind, it does work. And so I was like, what do I want? Like, I put a post up yesterday. Like, what do I want to experience for the next year, right? Like, I've done some pretty intense intention work over the last like 4 years, and especially over the last year. And I was like, what is it that I want to enjoy? What energies do I want to play with? What do I need? And I decided, you know what, I'm going to settle with three things. First, joy, because I love joy. And I feel like, it's funny, love joy, that's a thing on its own. I feel like I have a lot of joy in my life, though. Like, I focused a lot more on gratitude and inner peace. And I almost put both of those back in there because I love them. There's like great energies to be in those. Like, you know what? the idea is to call in something that I want to put more of my focus into because I don't have it in my focus as much. And joy in particular is a really good one, especially in the situations that we're in. Like it's more important, you know? And joy is fun, right? You're connected to yourself, you're connected to what's around you. It's playfulness, it's that goodness from within, right? And then I want to feel inspirational this year, right? And a part of that is working with this, a part of that is working with other things going on in my life. But like, you know, and I waffled because especially with this Aries energy, like I have an Aries moon, so I'm like, I want to feel triumphant. No. I'm like, no, I don't want to feel triumphant. That feels like I'd have to fight. You know, like and I don't want to fight. And then I was like, oh, maybe victorious. But again, I'm like, that's a great Aries word, but I feel like, again, like that would mean like in order for me to have victory, someone else does not get victory, or I'd have to fight for that sort of thing. I'm like, nah, like there's a time and a place for fighting, and I do have some value in fighting, but like otherwise, I don't, you know, I want success, but without like all of the struggle for it. You know what I mean? And so I was like, you know what? What do I want? I want to feel inspired, which means in spirit, like connected, or as Abraham says, tapped in, tuned in, and turned on, right? And inspirational, like for me, like feeling like I'm inspiring other people, that definitely makes me feel inspired, right? And then there are various things going on in my life to where it's like I need and or want and or it would just go better if people would be in alignment with what I would like, or the timelines I want to be on. And I don't want to force anybody. I like consent. I like things being consensual. You know what I mean? I like them to be in harmony. But I also didn't want to call in like life's not as much fun if everybody just agrees with you all the time and you always get your way. It's just not. And we don't grow very much with that. So inspirational is what I went for, right? And then lastly, and this is where this is relevant to the sweet and sassy, there's been some synchronicities. My DM and I used to have a cat. It was the first cat I got us. I got her for him, the little football kitten, and we named her Georgia Peach. And that was a synchronicity that came in like extra heavy through a couple of readers actually. And I was like, and it actually was in relation because Divine Maverick was part of it too, the gifts, right? And I was like, what is it about that relates to gifts that I used to utilize that's are kind of on the back burner? And I was thinking about it and I was like, you know, it really does kind of get into that energy of how I was. And I thought, you know what? I want to feel something in relation to that. And I thought sweet, because what kept coming to mind to me is like over time, she became Georgia S. Peaches, Georgia Sweet Peaches, or Georgia Sweet Peach. And I was like, there's something to do with sweet, like, because I mean, I feel like a lot of the energy that I've been in, especially for like, let's say the last 18 months, I mean, I'm going to give myself credit, say that I'm always sweet to a certain level. That's part of how I've been taken advantage of by quite a number of people in my life. Though it's not the same kind of sweetness. It was more of that, almost like that Aries, Leo, Sag, like I'm sweet, but I'll kick your butt kind of thing, without saying it. Can you say it without saying it, right? But like I've been more in like a warrior S sort of energy. And I think that was good. I think that was what was necessary. And I'm not necessarily saying like I don't want to call in taking out all of that energy, but I definitely want more. I want to feel like I'm sweet. I want to feel like the feedback I get from people, even those of an adversarial position, that not that, oh, I'm too sweet and naive and things like that, but I'm, you know, and not just kind, because to me kindness is not necessarily always equated with sweetness. Like it can be kind to give somebody some constructive feedback, you know what I mean? Like to me there's a difference between being nice and being kind. And like being nice might be you don't tell somebody that they don't look good in what they're wearing, but it's a kindness if you say, hey, you might want to like button up here, or maybe put some different pants with that if what you're going for is to look put together, or a kindness might be like, hey, you got a booger in your nose, you might want to get it so that nobody else does it. But somebody who's being nice is likely also trying not to rock the boat, and so they're not going to tell you that, right? Whereas someone who is kind might be like, hey, you don't want to walk around with that. Like, they'll say the thing in a kind way so that you're not walking around like that, right? But to be sweet, like, that can also, like, you can be nice and sweet, you can be kind and sweet, but they don't necessarily go together. You could also be nice and kind and not be sweet at all, right? And the same thing is, you can be sweet, and although it can come off as nice and it can come off as kind, it's not necessarily the same thing. I include kindness in that for me. But I was like looking up, like, okay, maybe I want to be like, I feel like there's a phrase is like sweet like a peach. But when I went to look it up, all I saw was sweet peach. But I loved the Urban Dictionary definition of it, which is a very hot woman who is also generous and kind. And I was, or genuine and kind. And I was like, I like that. It's kind of like when we did the Hot Girl Summers with, oh, what is it? Taylor, I think it was Taylor Ray Tarot, Taylor something Tarot. She used to be pretty big on here too, and she hasn't been in, I want to say, about a year. Um, but either way, like, I was like that. I like that. I like that. So joy. I'm gonna feel joy this year. I'm gonna feel inspirational this year. I'm gonna feel like a sweet peach. I was like, that feels good. And what's funny is, I mean, obviously it relates to like Georgia peaches and the South, and I didn't even really connect it till I saw SAS this morning. It's like sweet and sassy, right? That very much is part of that. And like my oldest and I have been, psst, sorry, the cats are wrestling in the back. I have been talking about, like, he'd like to start dating soon and stuff like that. And we've been talking about things like bantering and like the lines of like what's flirtation, and then what's sarcasm versus banter and things like that. And definitely banter was a gift, has been a gift of mine, especially learning to ride that line, because my family would take it into sarcasm pretty quick, and sarcasm can hurt. It usually does. Anyways, but there was two songs today that was like, before you do anything else, go on and do a video, because you haven't in a while. And it's funny too, because I decided right before doing the video to pull a card as kind of an energy, like an overall theme, and look what I got. Wisdom of an Angel, which is about song magic, right? It's about that, like, I don't know, like, it's like the song in your heart, the song in your head, and the song that you're singing out loud, like, and that's definitely, maybe for some of you, that's a gift too. It could be listening to it, pulling your mind into a certain song. Also, I've been hearing a lot of Madonna songs lately. I don't know if that's a sync for some of you, but actually the two songs that were definitely like, this is definitely like DMDF energy. The first one is, I don't know the title of it. I know it's by Selena, and I know that I used to hear Maverick sing it a lot in her older tarot videos, and it's that one. There's nowhere I'd rather be than here in my room, thinking about you and me, right? That one. And then the next one is one that's very, very, very much a synchronicity for me and my DM, and you'll probably recognize it. It's, I close my eyes and I can see that world is waiting up for me, that I call my own, right? So, Million Dreams from The Greatest Showman. Either version, either the one from the movie or Pink's version. I've been hearing Pink's version a lot more, which is interesting. So there's definitely like kind of this feminine-esque energy coming upon things, right? And, more feminine in there. So I, how do I put it? I have a feeling that the energy is kind of like, even though we're going into some very masculine energy, especially with Pluto going into Aquarius and the sun and moon being in Aries and things like that, we're still like, there's big masculine energy there, yes. However, it seems more like an attunement with femininity this time. Like, it's not that they're becoming the same energy. It's not necessarily that like masculines are taking on feminine energy or feminines are taking on masculine energy. It feels more like the balance of like, if you feel like you're divine feminine, you are able to move within masculine and feminine energy, to play with it, to call it in, to sit in it. But even if you're playing with masculine energy, you are comfortably still sitting in your feminine energy. How about that? Or even if you have to call in some masculine energy to take action, to do something, you're still within your femininity. And the same thing on the masculine side. Like, they're a lot of them are kind of getting into a space to where they're not, I want to say it's more like they're not pushing away the feminine side. Like, I feel like a lot of them were kind of in their swords energy for a while, and very much like, no, I won't have anything to do with anything that has to do with feminine energy, with receptivity, with reciprocity, with openness, with blah 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 blah. I just saw a truck that said TriStar, and I've been noticing star syncs a lot lately too. Blue Star, Red Star, Starline, TriStar, things like that. So I'm thinking star energy, right? Which is that balance. It is about balance. It is about reciprocity, about things like that. So, anyways, I was thinking to pull some cards and see what we got going on. And I think I'm actually going to use a newer deck that I have that I'm still kind of been learning with. Interesting. And some of my Rider-Thwaite cards just came with this, and something in my head said, you know what, go ahead and pull them out. And we've got the Eight of Swords, the Two of Wands reversed, and the Knight of Cups, which suggests to me that somebody who's been in a mental prison, possibly some amount of an actual prison, doesn't have to be like jail or penitentiary, but they've somehow been trapped in something, probably to do with some kind of a family, but not it's like a cold family, you know what I mean? Like, maybe not a direct family, maybe it's a step family, a marriage situation, something along those lines. And then the Two of Wands, like a choice. I'm going to say that a choice has been made to release some things. Because like in upright, usually it's like a choice is made. There's still kind of like the choice that was not chosen is still in the background. It could still be chosen, but a choice has been made and the person is looking forward to it. I'm going to say that like Two of Wands in reverse right now seems like somebody's decided on neither choice, right? Like, they're like, I'm starting over. I'm going back to the Ace of Wands, right? Which is often like singlehood and open communication and things like that. And then the Knight of Cups, a message of some sort of emotion. And actually, you know what's funny? I'm feeling called to note two things. One, there's nothing in this cup from what we can see. It doesn't mean like, some readers interpret that it's in there, but what I'm noticing is that there's nothing in the cup. And it really feels like that you're likely to get a message from someone saying, especially someone you have a strong connection with, likely your DM or your DF. But it feels like, they're coming and be like, I'm here, but my cup is empty. My cup is empty. I've been through a lot. I've done a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things. I've had, I've tried to prop up a lot of people who drank from my cup or needed, my cup to wash their hands, or they kept kicking my cup over like Five of Cups, so I have my cup is here. I've cleaned it up, but it's empty right now. And maybe they don't even, maybe they're even coming to you to a certain degree to say, how do I refill my cup without taking from somebody else, right? And the other thing I'm really called to on this, which I never noticed before, but if you look at his boots, he's actually got the little mercurial wings on there, right? And I'll have to look at the other knights, but I'm fairly sure that I've not seen that on any of the other nights. You almost think, you know, it's funny too because he does have them in his hat. You almost think you would see them on the Knight of Swords too, but I've never really noticed that on his leggings before. So it's kind of that. I mean, it definitely fits in with the theme of like messages and things like that. But it feels like spirit is supporting this message. That, you know, so if you get some kind of a message that's like, it feels like it would be a real message. Like, I feel like this is for those of you who have been like kind of in a space of like you already know, you've already had some times where you've realized that you've gotten certain communications that had the right words, right? Especially maybe in this sense, you know, like they had the right words, but they weren't. It's like if someone presented themselves to you as a Knight of Cups or a King of Cups, and their words fit in with that, but you still sense the energy of like Page of Cups or even Page of Wands, Knight of Wands, or you knew that like you could see in the actions that the person was still acting as like Page of Swords or Knight of Swords kind of energy. And so what you've been asking for and wanting is like a genuine, real message that matches the actions that come with the words and that matches how it feels to you, you know, because you also are kind of using your cups to intuit, is it time, is it progress, is it not time yet? Like, I'm not quite sure how to put the words in there. There's like, you know, there's just a certain feeling and vibration you get from someone when you know that they're being genuine, right? When they're really growing. And I feel like this is one of those, like, you're going to get some kind of a message that's about, I want to say it's about an agreement to grow, so to speak. It's about an agreement to, that's the word. I keep saying the word on trucks, accord, like an accord, something that's like I don't want to fight. I don't want to. That's so funny. I just saw a waffle truck. I don't want to fight. I want to have waffles. Like, I feel like it might be a message kind of like that too, though. Like something that includes a little bit. Like there's, you know, it may have kind of a little bit of a mournful tune in it, but it's not in a like a victim-y, piratey energy. It's not like in a, oh fine, I'll do what you want because I give up, or it's not so playful that there's no seriousness in it. Like, let's not talk about this, baby. Let's go have waffles. It's more like, yes, this is serious, and yes, I recognize growth and change are needed, and I'm not gonna lie and pretend like my cup is full because it's not. It's not. I gotta figure out how to fill my own cup on my own and keep it overfilling so that when I share it with people, it's, you know, it's what pours over the edges. I don't have to tip over my cup to do it. And you know what? Wow. I just got a strong message in here that also for those of you that have had a DM or a DF that have been dealing with like alcoholism or even, I'm going to say even other substance abuses and things like that, like they're coming to you showing that, you know, they're going to show through word and action that they're facing that stuff, that, you know, their cup is empty in the sense of like they're not drinking, they're not doing that stuff, they're not going with like the Queen of Cups and like putting on rose-colored glasses and pretending that everything is fine, you know, while it's all falling apart, you know, and stuff like that. They're coming and saying, no, look here, like I'm doing this like clean and sober, and I'm not going to be such a jerk about it. You know, I'm going to do it because I need to do it, right? And it feels like this is one of those, you'll definitely notice words and actions aligning. Like, you know, I'm not going to say don't accept something that the two don't match, because I generally always say that, but I don't think you'll have to. Like, I think that you will notice it, and as long as you're holding healthy boundaries in general, like it'll be there. And I kind of have this sense too that, like, I mean, it feels like if you as DM or DF watching this have been through issues like that, that you've already provided the words and actions to show that. And and maybe even in being like chaste or single, or it's funny, the truck says sunrise, whatever it is, like you've already shown that your cup is empty, but your cup is not like it's not empty in the sense that there's nothing there to work with or nothing there to sustain you. Your cup is empty in the sense that like when you clean your space, when you go through and you clean it up, and you have you've cleaned it up, you've done your spring cleaning sort of energy, and it feels more like that. Like I how do you put it? It's like I intentionally keep my cup empty, but like I clean out my cup regularly, and I don't, I let it overfill, but I don't share it with everybody, sort of thing. Like I'm not sure why that's relevant. You're gonna have to take that one, and if it's for you, and let it go if it's not. In any case, so there's some beginning messages, right? Now we're gonna take this deck, and I'm gonna pull out the book, Oracle of Ascendance, because I have not memorized all of these cards yet. So we'll just clear the deck for a minute here. And for those of you watching, some prayers and good thoughts towards us getting moved into our new housing hope apartment soon. That would be fantastic. I do have the sense that we are very, very close to it, though. There's also some things coming up along the way that I think are part of why there's a little bit of delay still. That I would like to have go in an inspiring way, right? So I can feel inspirational. So others around me can feel inspirational. Oh, one just jumped out. Oh, that's so funny. Gemini, right? And I have a Gemini rising, and there's definitely Gemini energy around and stuff. So let's look this up. Gemini. I mean, obviously Gemini, it feels like the Magician and the Lovers and more of that mercurial energy, so messages again. But I like what this stuff has. So the symbol of Gemini is the twins. Its traditional dates are May 21st to June 20th. With the 13th zodiac incorporated, its new dates are June 21st to July 20th. That's right, I forgot this one includes the 13th sign. Gemini is the mutable air sign ruled by Mercury and represents communication, inquisitiveness, intelligence, and changeability. I feel like that word is a key word for us, inquisitiveness. Like, rather than accusations, ask questions, right? Rather than assuming, be curious. That kind of energy. All air signs have in common the desire for freedom. When Gemini appears, you are being encouraged to expand your horizons in learning, knowledge, and intelligence. Play to your strengths and satisfy your inquisitive nature by engaging in a new project, or if you are considering a career in which your communication skills shine. Refer to Mercury air cards for additional clarification information. Goodness, what's going on there? Oh, that's so funny. I just got a spam email about it's like, our financial department has approved you, blah, 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 right, for $40,000. And you know what? When I see that stuff now, I'm like, thank you. I would love $40,000. So I don't send it to them. I just look at that as spirit telling me that money is coming my way, that approvals are coming my way. I've learned to be really grateful for the spam stuff that comes in. Like, sure, I'm not gonna click no links. I'm not gonna go to nobody. I know that, but that doesn't mean like anything can help you manifest what you want, right? So what I take from that is I've been approved. What I've asked for has been approved, and more resources are coming in, right? And we get that in that Gemini energy too. Messages, right? Message. Okay, let's get another card. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull 2 to 3 cards for divine masculine energy, and then I'm going to pull 2 to 3 cards for divine feminine energy. And then it's time for me to go do other stuff today, much as I would love to just sit here with y'all all day. Okay, here's one. Ooh, Pluto in reverse, huh? Let's do at least a second one for divine masculine energy, especially with Pluto reversed like me. Probably has something to do with Pluto going into Aquarius, and it could be saying that like changes are coming, but like the bigger stuff is going to come when Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn. Okay, we had too many cards come out there. Okay, sure. So these two came out on their own. We have Chesed, which is part of Sephiroth, and Octagram. And then on the bottom here, looks like we have a Reiki symbol that I'm going to look up, which is, I think it's Say Hey Ki. I'm not positive that I'm pronouncing that right. Hello, kitties. Okay, let's see. I'm glad this has a list of the chapters. Let's see. Oh, Say Hey Ki, so 72. And this will be like their kind of their underlying issues, underlying thoughts, the things that spirits like, the theme of stuff that they're working on. So Seihi Ki is considered to be the second symbol in traditional Reiki, given during the second degree, level 2, and viewed as the mental emotional symbol. Translated, it means divine and humanity become one. It is most often used when there is an emotional release needed or a buildup of emotion in a recipient. Drawing it, imagining it, or chanting it 3 times can invoke its power. When this symbol appears in your reading, emotional release is being indicated. Have you been bottling your feelings? Is it out of fear or because of pain? The gentle, soothing energy of Sihi Ki tells you that release is okay and that it is there to help guide and let it go if you need help. The emotional release is necessary not only to maintain health and well being, but also to help you clear and balance the emotional blockage that is attached. Whatever the situation may be, Sihi Ki is a gentle, guiding hand to help you clear and release. And you know what's funny? Because of stuff going on, I'm going to find some place that I can stick this, that like I can look at it fairly regularly. It just feels important, right? Okay, now let's look at an order Pluto in reverse. Let's see. Which I think is right before the other signs. No, I'm going to go back to the table of contents. 66. Pluto, let's see. The last of the classically recognized planets, Pluto's energies are often associated with Hades in Greek, lord of the underworld. This does not demonstrate evil, merely the shadow aspects. Pluto is the mirror that reflects all things and brings all secrets to light. If you have been in denial about something that you know to be true, Pluto's appearance in your reading is telling you to be strong and accept and acknowledge it. It is time to bring secrets to light, to clear air and resolve the unresolved, which in turn will help provide healing to you and those around you. Pluto can be cold, commanding, and dark, but its shadow aspects remind us that there must always be both light and shadow in order to have balance to the cosmic order. Inverted, which is how it came out, when Pluto appears inverted, you are asked to turn the mirror outward to people around you. Allow the ability of self reflection to shine through you to others as well for healing. So it feels like DMs are definitely going through an energy of like, I feel like it's a lot of like secrets that they didn't want to have come out are already out. They have to face them, they have been facing them, but there's been people around them who are not facing them. And so like it almost feels like they're going to start reflecting people around them, maybe not even intentionally. Like it could be part of what like spirits showing them their own reflection in other people, and then also showing other people their own reflection in DM energy. All right, now let's look at Chesed, which I think is about mercy. I'm not positive though, because that could be a different one. let's see. Oh, there we go. Chesed. So below Chakma on the tree's right pillar is Chesed. Yeah, keyword mercy. And here's the card. It's blue and it always reminds me of the throat chakra, right? A keyword is mercy, representing mercy, kindness, grace, compassion, or love. The sphere governs the constructive attributes and acts as an organizational sort of energy to inspire action. Chesed's opposite is Gabrua, which represents the severe or the strong. When Chesed appears in your cards, you are asked to begin or restart a project that you have been thinking about. The creative energies are beginning to manifest. It is time to take them out of the ether and make them concrete. The time of active material creation is now, and the energies of this sphere support you in your creation. Do not wait. Seize the moment and plunge ahead with your project. You may be surprised at what the creative energies grant you. So it feels like, along with that, it's funny, reflective truth energy, because Ursud is in the color of the throat chakra. So and the throat chakra is all about speaking the truth, knowing the truth, hearing the truth, things like that. So it feels like that energy of it feels like masculines are being shown that if they're gonna come in this swordsy energy, or if the Pluto card was upright, I could see it being very swordsy sort of energy. But I think that they're being shown if they come in that King of Swords, Queen of Swords, Knight of Swords energy, they won't be victorious. They won't win. They won't inspire anyone, things like that. Yes, sometimes there's a time and a place for that, but it feels like they've been in that too much. And now it's one of those to where they're being called to be merciful, but not necessarily merciful. It feels like it's a double-edged sword. So there are plenty of people around them that they have been merciful with that they need to stop being so merciful with, but not to then villainize them. To be in an energy of I understand why you are the way that you are. However, and I'm going to give you empathy and understanding for that. However, I'm still going to hold the boundaries, because otherwise I reflect you too much, and I don't like who I become when I'm reflecting you, right? Or things like that. And then on the other side, it feels like, they're maybe in order to maintain what were probably karmic dynamics and things, that they pushed away other people and they were much more swordsy with other people, or at best they were wandsy, right? So now they're being challenged to be more merciful with those people. And also it feels kind of and I get a lot of physical confirmation of this, that they're recognizing, they're feeling really guilty and remorseful about people, especially children, that they should have been more merciful with and are and weren't. And maybe they were in that cold Pluto energy, and they were in a space of learning about their own reflection, and now they're they're getting to this place where they're recognizing that. I feel like in some ways this relates to it could be you, their DF. You may have gotten into an energy that was very reflective of the same energy that these DMs were giving you, and their response to it may have even been very similar to your prior responses to it, and they didn't see it until recently, that oh, that's the way, it's this Pluto, the Pluto reverse energy, the viewing, the reflection of yourself in others, right? Oh shit, that's the way that I was acting with them, and I acted in the way that they acted with me, which used to offend me, that they wouldn't just let me act like a child, or they wouldn't just let me control things or stuff like that. And and look at me, I had big boundaries. I became big bad wolf, or or I got controlling in the reverse to try to maintain my own sanity and boundaries, and wow, and maybe even whoa. And in my other relationships, I acted with them in the way that DF used to act with me, which is not enough boundaries, and too much taking, and not having anyone who's like giving to me, and things like that, like, but it feels like now they're in this energy of like just kind of like laying down and observing things, like, they're not in the most comfortable position, but they're like, I see what happened, and whether on your part it was intentional or spirit just lined it up that way or whatever, like they're noticing that reflection that came in and going like, how can I be mad at them, like when I did all that first, how can I be upset at them even for the way that they acted before. I feel like this actually goes, like, it probably goes back to early separation time. Like they were probably mad at you for initiating that or holding the boundary of that, because like they wanted to have like a million chances to just just act in whatever way that they wanted, and you said no. And you said, if you're going to be that way, go until you're not going to be that way anymore. And so, like, but now it feels like they've been put in both positions to where they have to do that with someone else, and also they need to go back and look at what happened, with you or with their DF, and recognize that it was necessary, that that was warranted, and it was compassionate, and it like maybe it was a big old fight, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't loving. And it feels like they're kind of in that like review stage of things like that. Okay, now we're going to look at the last one, octagram, right? Octagram. I love that there's sacred geometry in here. I just saw octagram. There we go. The octagram, or eight-pointed star, also spans several religions, dating as far back as Babylonian Sumerian times in association with the goddess Ishtar and Inanna. In the Judeo-Christian, it represents beginnings, resurrection, salvation, equilibrium, and superabundance, which is funny. What was I just talking about, right? It also has associations with Egypt, Gnosticism, and the Hindu goddess Lakshmi, goddess of abundance. When this card appears, you are being asked to accept abundance in all its forms. This can mean monetary, or it can mean a wealth of friends and family. In order to allow for more abundance in your life, you first need to acknowledge and accept it. Ask and you shall receive is the message here. But also keep in mind that asking must be done in moderation and within reason. Trust that the divine energies of the octagram will work to help invite and summon more into your life. Which is interesting, right? So I feel like there's this very big energy of, especially with the chesed, like that alignment with divine, that I feel like there's a lot of these masculines, maybe not all of them, that already knew a bit about manifesting and things like that, but that they're really coming into an awareness that they manifested the reality that they currently have and have not been enjoying, and that they can manifest a different reality, which is a very big thing, because a lot of these masculines have been stuck in kind of this piratey energy of, it is the way it is in life. You just get handed cards. You don't get to pick nothing. You don't get choices. You don't get this and that, right? While at the same time likely going, you're like going, you can't control me, and like, I can't control life, da da da. But I feel like those masculines are now in a space of like, you know what? I can choose what happens next. I can choose where I go. I can choose to fight. And whether I win or not, I'm going to get hurt along the way in the battle. But, or I can choose to be balanced in the middle. I can choose to give up and run away and abandon all hope. I can choose to stay, and things can go better because I go in the middle. And also, I feel like they're really looking at, like, if they're not happy in the house that they're in and they've wanted something else, or maybe they're renting and they want to own, or maybe they want a better career, or they want to improve the career that they have, or things, or they want their finances to get better, or they want to feel physically better or mentally well, or whatever it is, like, they are recognizing and it's funny because you hear the truck backing up with the beeping, like they're cautiously backing up. They're communicating, which means probably that Knight of Cups message. They're going to communicate to you that they are cautiously backing up with communication so that you know it, so you don't walk out in front behind them, right, or in front behind, and so that, right, or both. Like maybe part of their communication is going to be like, please, don't you get ahead of me, and I won't leave you behind. And then likewise, like, be careful, don't stand behind me, I'm backing up. Like I'm backing up so I can reorient myself. I can realign myself and go in a proper forward motion that I've not been going in, right? And it feels like also, especially because it's an octagram, so 8, it feels like 8 is an important number. 8 people, 8 agreements, 8 sessions, 8 days, 8 things, right? And it also feels like kind of a little bit of that Agatha Christie novel stuff in there. And if you've had a similar journey like that, then it may be that there's 8 more people that will either revisit and go back out again, or that there's 8 people who will be staying, or that like there's 8 things that need to be taken care of in order to get into this healthier, more positive energy. The number 8 is significant. Could also have to do with Enneagram type 8, or the 8th sign, which would be Leo, right? Things of that nature. Regardless, there's something that they're working on, right? Could be 8 weeks, could be 8 months, could be 8 years. and if it is, enjoy the journey along the way. Though I have a feeling that this is much more in a 8 weeks sort of sense, and that June is very significant. All right, I'm going to pull some cards for Divine Feminine, and then we're going to get off here. All right. Oh, right out. Aries, right? And today is the new moon, and the sun in Aries. Happy Zodiac New Year. Happy Astrology New Year. And it's funny, too, because Aries can have that very, like, playful energy, too. All right. All right, fellow Divine Feminines. The element of spirit. Why not, right? All right, let's do one more card. What's funny is I don't think I've read either of these cards from this book, not in this particular way, anyways. All right, and we're gonna forgot to put the Gemini card back in there. All right, one more card for Divine Feminine. So I guess that Gemini card, because I didn't pull it for masculine, it was just kind of one that I pulled. So it's kind of an overall theme for both. There's something to do with it, which, I mean, it's twins, right? Twin flame sort of energy, and messages, mercurial, agreements, accords, things like that. And also remember that inquisitiveness, right? All right. Oh, interesting. Malkuth, part of the Sephiroth, it was inverted or reversed, which is interesting. I also have not read that one. And I want to point out here, look at this. We got these 2 cards, and they are so colorful, right? Very colorful. I feel like dominantly there's more of a gold yellow, which is the solar plexus. And there's, this is also a very colorful card, and also kind of dominated by that. So it's kind of that fiery energy. I feel like a positive ego energy of sorts. And what I say earlier, like, like both masculine and feminine are kind of playing with the other energies. So, like, it is kind of in that masculine energy. Okay. Aries. The symbol of Aries is the ram. Its traditional dates are March 21st through April 19th, and with the 13th sign incorporated, its new dates are April 18th to May 13th. Aries is the cardinal fire sign ruled by Mars and represents activity, determination, effectiveness, and ambition. All fire signs have in common the desire for freedom, specifically freedom of action and the power to do what they wish. And I'm going to emphasize that word "wish" because it's been coming up a lot. There's a truck around here. There's a couple of them. It's like Wish Septic Services or something like that. And no, Wish Towing. That's what it is. But I've also been seeing the word in other places, and so which I know that masculines are wishing a lot, though. Like, it's a good time to wish. I've even seen readers, at the beginning of their readings just randomly start saying, make a wish, or they put the words up, make a wish, right? And so it's important, like wish is important, and this Aries energy is important to wishing. So be careful with what you wish for, though make some wishes. When Aries appears, you are being urged to be more social in your activities and career. Have you made any new connections to foster your ever broadening skills? The time to be active is now. Activity prevents stagnation. Refer to the Mars Fire card for additional clarification and information. So it's definitely, I feel like a lot of feminines are already feeling it, and especially if you've been doing your salt baths and your moon work and all your other stuff, you're already kind of in tune with the seasons, and it feels like getting that Aries card is like, yes, you're already in alignment. Like we see that the masculine got chesed, which is becoming in alignment, like getting into alignment with the divine. But I feel like this is saying you are in alignment with divine, and we got the element of spirit, which definitely feels like in alignment, right? But let's see. So, and I know what the element of spirit is in terms of like pagan Wiccan stuff, because I've worked with that. But I want to see what the book says. So let's see, 52. Elements of spirit. As above, so below. Spirit, the fifth element, governs the above and below, heaven and earth. It combines the energies of the four other elements to provide enlightenment, insight, psychic ability, and connection with the higher self and the divine, right? What were we just talking about? Its color is purple. It represents the all and the nothing, and it governs all other planets and elements. The 13th zodiac sign, Ouroboros, is also governed by the element of spirit. When the fifth element appears in your reading, you are asked to detach and approach situations from a removed standpoint. Do not allow the mundane and the physical to overly affect the work that you do. Remember that change is always constant. Approaching a disagreeable situation with this attitude will allow you the knowledge to change it, which is very interesting. I feel like if you've got some situations coming up, and you may have multiple, like go to that space of inner peace. I don't like detachment, yes, but to me, inner peace is kind of that attached detachment, right? Like you're in a space of like, I'll be okay no matter what the outcome is. And I'm going to come into it in that Gemini energy of being comfortable with it, right? And being comfortable with what I can learn in each moment, right? Now let's look at Malkuth. Malkuth, keyword kingdom, is the 10th sphere in the Tree of Life. While it appears at the bottom, it is actually considered the top of the Tree of Life. Malkuth also represents the realm of earth, a reflection of the realm of heaven, and the representation of the material plane of existence, which is interesting because it wasn't just saying like, don't hold on to the material, but that's a balance. That's an alignment of it, right? While Yesod is a sphere that channels, Malkuth is a sphere that receives. Be it energies, thoughts, emotions, or actions, this is the sphere that allows tangibility out of the other spheres' emanations. When Malkuth appears in your cards, you are reminded that all things are a reflection of the divine and of the grand design. Why is this situation happening the way that it is? If you look at the situation from a higher consciousness, are there ties to other situations? All things have a plan, and Malkuth reminds you to be patient, for all is as it should be by the grand design. And it's not saying that it has any inversion, so I'm just going to turn it upright. Some do and some don't, right? And it's interesting, too, because even in its own meaning, it's already, it's saying it's both the bottom and the top of the tree. Like we see it at the bottom, but it's the top, right? So we already have some of that inverted energy in there. And it feels like that's it's kind of part of the learning, right? Like being at the bottom and at the top, and also being that element of spirit that is all of it, right? Not just as above as below, sure, but also as within as without, as to left as right, like, and the cross corners and things like that. Like spirit is in all things, right? And so it's kind of that, like, I feel like divine feminines that are, checking in with this are already somewhat in this energy, but that there's also kind of like a call to come back into that energy a little bit more. So it's that mixture of like being that playful Aries energy and that, like action and changeability and career stuff and like focus on that, though also, be in an inwardly peaceful space where you're like okay moving through the flow of things, because you as you let go of the I have to have this way kind of thing, you allow what you want to come in. And then also you can kind of get a higher perspective when you allow yourself to flow with all things, to remember that you are a part of all things. That bush next to you, the car you're in, the table you're at, the cards in your hands, the thing you're looking at on your phone, like we are all a part of all things and all things are a part of us, and the bits that we give our focus to are both what we call in and keep away. So like, there's that balance. And then the same thing with the Malkuth, like be receptive, and be in an energy of like, if something seems like a combative sort of thing where you may have in the past been like, I must be triumphant or I want to manifest victory. Instead, lean back into that. I want to feel inspirational in this moment, like whether that's inspiring the other side into an accord or whether that's simply handling the disagreement in an inspirational way that makes you feel good about it. It's there. Which also kind of tells me that like it kind of feels like it relates to the octagram challenge of that DMs are in. Like it feels like it's one of those like, even when you get the messages that you want, that does not mean that all is as you want it to be. For one thing, the journey wouldn't be as much fun if it was, and the story wouldn't be as interesting, right? But like it's also, it feels like you might get some messages from both from your DM and from some other areas in your life where that will kind of reflect and show you that this is a kind of a collective energy of things, that like you're getting what you want. You get what you wish. You got that Aries card, right? I mean, for goodness sakes, acknowledge you got the Aries card, you got the Spirit card, and you got the Reciprocity card. Like, you're doing good. No matter what your status is, no matter where your financial income is, no matter what, you got it pretty good, And so it's like, acknowledge that and be in that energy of like, I feel good with what I've got. More is coming. I know that it's there. I see it. And then as you get these messages that are like, you get what you wish, you get what you ask for, in a good way, not in a like weird strings attached way, though that also means that you've got to go through, let's say, the 8 quests, or you've got to wait for your DM to go through 8 quests that bring them into alignment, the chesed, the alignment with the divine, the merciful, the things like that bring them into the positive manifesting abundance of the octagram, whatever it is, like. And as you go through these things, be in a peaceful, like, you know what, I'm good with either outcome kind of energy, or I'm good with any outcome kind of energy, even outcomes that you may have in the past been like, I can't possibly sit with that, like, be okay with, at least for a moment, at least, even if it's just like 20 seconds of like, okay, I'm all right with that. That's okay. Even if it's just in that moment, even if later you're like, you're in the middle of it, you're like, no, absolutely not, right? But the goal is to get to that place to where you're like, that's what it is. That's one of the gifts that I realized that I had earlier, is recognizing that I always get what I want, and in that moment letting myself feel like I have what I want, and then it comes in. Like, that's something that it took me a while to cultivate, but it's a gift, and maybe that's a gift that you have. And then as I was putting the cards away to wrap up this video, I was like, I'm going to leave this one out for a minute, because it felt like there was a little extra message. And the message that I feel like is coming from this is, Let yourself sing and be sweet and sassy and rebirth in the way that you've wanted it will come in. That's what I got you. That's what I've got for you. All right, y'all. I love you. Thank you for being beautiful souls. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing, wishing well, playing along. I'll see you in the next video.